Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another week of Deducation, the Teachers Talking Terror podcast, where myself, Mike,
and myself, Courtney,
are putting the wraps on October. I mean, we do sit here on November 2nd recording this. We are tardy in an episode because, as you and I talked late last week, like, we've got 7 movies for the final full week of October. Like, do we really want to do a short three movie episode? And we decided, no, we'll just do a mega episode where we cover the last 10 movies of October, rank our top 10, and go from there. And who knows, maybe, I think we'll throw this one in. I should have said something to you before. Maybe when we get to the end of the show, we'll share maybe our top 3 of the month.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? I think that would be fun, just because there were some weeks where the number 1 wouldn't even be in the top 10. So
nope.
But yeah, so that'll be fun. So let's just let's get right into it. Sunday the 22nd, we watched an Italian movie with English dubs called A Blade in the Dark. And we watched it so long ago that, like I said before we hit record, I had to go back and reread the synopsis because I don't remember what it was about. Weird movie, though.
Yeah, it wasn't my least favorite, though.
Yeah.
We've kind of got this guy Airbnb-ing a place.
Yeah.
And, everything happens in the dark. The previous tenants have come up missing or dead. Some things are happening. And the owner's kind of weird about it, I guess. But he's going on a trip, so that's all. You don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, he's not a red herring at all.
That's right.
Never have to think about that boy again.
Nope. And then, really, it's like, I mean, this movie is really, there's not a lot going on in it.
No, there's not a lot of plot. There's not a lot of locations.
No.
It really is just, it's like the same scene over and over again. Here's a guy working on a musical piece. He starts playing it, and then he hears a noise. Somebody's visiting him. They disappear and die. He goes back to his keyboard. Starts working on music again. Another noise. It's like rinse and repeat until it just boils down to who's doing all the killing.
And then he gets chased by the killer.
The killer, a woman killer.
Yes, but when he gets to this woman killer,
they come out of the dark.
Yeah, and they lost their wig, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it's the owner who is supposed to be on vacation.
No way, not that guy.
I know.
We didn't see that coming.
I know.
Yeah, they unfortunately gave way too much screen time to him at the beginning.
Yep.
And we see that kind of premise come up again later this week of like that character who apparently is not important at all. You sure have spent a lot of time with them before they leave for the majority of the movie. I wonder if they're going to come back. The Prowler. We'll get to that in a minute. So, Blade in the Dark. What'd you give it as a grade?
I gave it a B-, just because, like, I didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to watch it again, I would. So.
Yeah, I gave it a D, and a lot of it is per comparison. This movie falls into a horror subgenre called giallo, which is Italian, and it's Italian for yellow. The reason why is a lot of times these kind of like slasher Italian movies like this were filmed based on like trashy novels, and the trashy novels had yellow covers in Italy, and so giallo being Italian for yellow, they were called giallo movies because they were like the film adaptations of these trashy novels. And so I've seen a lot of them. It's actually one of my favorite horror subgenres of these kind of Scooby-Doo mystery types, which really is kind of what it is. You've got a killer, you see mainly just their hands or shadows, like someone's doing the killing, and you probably know who the killer is once they reveal it. And so I really like these movies because it's not built on some supernatural monster or like, which I do like those as well. But it's a slasher movie, but it's almost has like a true crime feel to them in a way.
Okay.
And this just isn't a very good one. Like,
no.
I've seen a lot better ones. and this one's just not one of them. So that's where it gets my D. And that was 2 Sundays ago. That was the movie. So Monday we get your pick. This was one of your picks. What'd you pick?
Yes, I picked Jeepers Creepers. This is, I feel like, another one that I just heard like so much about.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why not? I'll watch it. And I really liked it.
It is.
It's fun.
It's fun because it's one of those rare horror films where, like, there's a character in the movie calling out the dumb decisions.
Yeah.
Like his sister in the movie, like normally the things that we're kind of yelling at the screen, don't go down there, don't go over there, you know. She's actually like calling him out on those in the film, and of course he does them anyway. But yeah, it's dumb fun, like
Yes.
very dumb fun. But go ahead, what's it about?
So they are heading, they're going home, aren't like almost like from college or wherever they're at. And they drive by this nasty looking truck.
Yeah.
And basically they just, swerve around to go check out what's down in the hole that this figure was dumping a large bag down. And they get down there and it kind of just spirals out of control after that.
Right.
Like if you hear the music and yeah,
The movie should not work.
It was a lot, but it did.
Yeah, it did. And I think they just really leaned into the campiness of it.
Yeah.
Because, like, come on. Like, our monster has a driver's license.
Yeah, he does.
Our monster has vanity plates. Like, I don't see him taking his driver's test.
Hey, I gave all of my kindergartners their driver's license yesterday.
That's true, you did.
They were very excited about it.
But it's like he knows how to drive a vehicle. He has one, so you just, and even then, like the violence that he inflicts and like sews up the wounds, like it just looks like all of it looks 100% rubber. Like it doesn't look remotely realistic.
No.
It's just, but they lean so far that way that they're like, hey, you're here for the fun.
Yes.
This movie's not really gross, but they have a lot of fun with it. And that's, once you kind of let go of that, you're like, oh, okay, this movie is fun. So I've seen Jeepers Creepers a number of times, and it's just enjoyable. It's even dumb, like the lady that comes running into the police station and, oh, if you hear the music, if you hear, and then she's singing Jeepers Creepers, and it's just like, really? That's the song that's supposed to be scary? But whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's just so goofy that it works. What'd you give it for a grade?
I gave it a B+.
I gave it a B-.
Okay.
It was better than average, but it's like, it's still just goofy. Like, but a B+. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know if any of the sequels are any good. There's a lot of sequels to this movie. So, why not? Then we get to my pick. Yeah.
Yes.
My first pick for the week. Yep.
No.
Tuesday?
Remember we got rid of your pick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was in my spot. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Another one of my picks.
Yeah, this was your pick from 2 weeks ago.
But you wanted to see it as well.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. I had already wanted to see it. Yeah, it took my spot because, this one you had down for Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And then we switched it to Friday. So, this is your pick. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What do you got?
Talk to Me.
Yeah. Very recent. Came out earlier this year. And, I like this movie.
I really like this one, too. This group of friends finds this embalmed hand. And they basically just, like, it's kind of like they got it off the black market almost. Like, no one knows where they got it. They got it from a friend. And they just hold it and they say, talk to me, I let you in. And like different spirits kind of like go into them. Like at one point, this girl's mom who had killed herself, she's talking to the daughter through another person. Just some things are, and they're having fun with it. Like,
it's like controlled possession.
Yeah.
Like they've got it down to a science of, we can allow ourselves to be possessed, but only for like 90 seconds.
Yes. And then like once they blow the candle out, then it's done. the younger brother
Yeah.
wants to do it, but they're like, no, you're not 16, you're not old enough.
Yeah, because you have to have a permit.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
And so the friend lets the brother do it,
Yeah.
and she's like, just 30 seconds, like just a little bit,
yeah,
just a little bit.
It's like a starter drug. Just a toke.
And then it's longer,
Yeah.
and like he cannot become unpossessed.
Right, yeah, they couldn't get his hand off of it. You know,
Yeah.
whatever had possessed him was holding
Yeah.
on strong.
And now it's like, he's banging his head off the
Yeah.
walls.
It was hard to watch.
It was very hard. And it's just like, I feel so bad for him because the friend goes and like quote unquote, visits him just to see where he's at. And like, there's all of these just dead people just pulling every direction at him. And it's a lot, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I did too. I really liked it too. The end's fairly predictable, but the ride was still fun.
Yes.
I did. I really enjoyed this movie. What'd you give it?
I gave this one a B+ as well.
I give this one an A. Yeah, I really like this movie. There were times I almost turned on subtitles because it's Australian and it was really thick Australian accent on some people. But you didn't necessarily need it. You got the gist of what was going on. But yeah, there was some imagery here that was kind of hard to watch. Like, oof, I don't like that 14-year-old boy slamming his head against the table on repeat.
And like when he was in the shower and he's just slamming
when
his
he's
head
breaking
back,
the tile,
and the tile is breaking. I'm like, ow! If I lay down with a clip in my hair, it hurts.
Yeah, and this kid is like, he's renovating his bathroom.
Hospital shower tile. Like, no.
Yeah, so that one, that one was rough. That one was rough. But I liked it. It was an A for me. Then we get to a shuffle pick. We had hit or miss luck on shuffle picks this month.
We did.
This was a shuffle pick. Our Sundays and Wednesdays were shuffle picks. And we watched Demon Seed from the 70s, which really had a very prevalent message for today, with the exception that it was still based on a technology from the 70s.
Yes.
You've got basically a computer mad scientist that has created a form of artificial intelligence that becomes sentient and wants more. And so our programmer husband goes away on a business trip, I'm guessing, and the wife is stuck home alone, and like the house is fully automated. And so the AI takes over the home and basically keeps her prisoner. And just the manipulation of technology to keep her there. Long story short, the computer wants a child. Like, it feels alive, and it knows it's not alive, so it impregnates the woman, who then has a gestation period of like 3 hours. Like, she delivers in no time. And it's just a mad rush to get, to get that taken care of. So that's, I don't know. I didn't mind the movie. I thought the tech.
No, I didn't mind it.
And so what'd you give it?
I gave this one a B just because I'm like, it is like AI and all of that, just like tech stuff is so very real and prevalent to today's world. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah. And this is, I think, what a lot of people are afraid of. For those out there that are afraid of it, as a person who works in technology and has dabbled with the history of AI, real quick, there's really like two branches of AI. One branch is the AI that we all know and are very torn on right now. And then there's a branch that is still very theoretical, in that that's the branch of AI that will teach itself things and become what this movie is about, or like iRobot, or any type of, huge futuristic push towards AI. The AI that we're working on now is still just extremely limited. It can only do what it's programmed to do. And so things like this movie cannot happen with today's AI. It's impossible. Perfect example is if you opened up ChatGPT and you just let the cursor blink at you, you could walk away. You could leave a movie on and walk away for 10 days, and that cursor's still blinking. It's not like the program learned anything while you were gone. It's not going to be like, real sweet movie, Mike. You know, and so yeah, there's nothing to fear there. But yeah, I didn't mind this movie. What'd you give it?
A B.
Oh, did you say that already?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was getting text in and out, and so I gave it a C+.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize for missing that grade. I was getting text popping up in the corner of my computer. I'm sure you heard the dinging.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, what's that about? Yeah, so I gave it a C+ for Demon Seed. Thursday was a Me movie.
Yes.
And I picked an 80s movie called The Prowler. Full disclosure, I'm glad that we watched this movie, but when I picked The Prowler, I was thinking a different movie when I picked it.
Okay.
And so that's no problem. I got watching and I was like, oh, I like this movie, but it's not really the one I was thinking. The Prowler is, we're in a movie town where, was it? It's like prom or something. Like there was some, like school dances aren't allowed, and it's not like a flash dance kind of thing. But there were some murders that took place X amount of years ago on the celebration of this particular dance, and the case was never closed. The murderer was never found. So like they would do with any responsible town, they just said, well, we're not going to hold that dance anymore because that's how you stop killers, is you just assume they're motivated by the activity, so you take the activity away. Right? I guess. And it worked because nobody was murdered for like 30 years. So they said, hey, you know what? Let's relax our morals a little bit. Like, let's go ahead and let these people have a dance. And like we talked about in Blade of the Dark, we meet the sheriff. The sheriff, of course, is in charge of the town's law enforcement, and he just happens to be leaving. He's got to go away. So it's left to the deputy, and the murders start happening again. So the deputy's trying to get it all figured out, and people keep dying, and then there's a blonde girl, and that was kind of, were these college kids? They had to have been college kids.
I feel like it was like a sorority social type thing.
It had to have been, because like one of them was like dating the deputy.
Yeah.
Even though they felt very high schoolish, I'm like, there's no way this is a high school. Long story short, guess who the killer was? The sheriff. Yep, the one who, like in Blade in the Dark,
dun, dun, dun.
You introduced us to him and left him around just long enough that it wasn't a surprise when he was the killer. Did it surprise you that he was the killer?
No.
No, I was like, I'd seen it before, but even then I was like, well, I remember the first time I'm like, it's the sheriff.
Yeah.
Even when they tried calling, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, when they call him at the hotel, and we spend literally like 4 minutes with the hotel like receptionist, where he just doesn't want to go check the door, and but we see him faking it. Like the camera just stays on him as he like slams shut the the gate, and then clops his feet on the floor. It's like he's doing like old timey sound effects. And meanwhile, the deputy's just on hold, like, yeah, he's going to get the sheriff. Cut back to him, and he's like slowly eating a potato chip so it doesn't crunch too loud. It's like, it was just funny, and it was completely out of place for the movie. But as soon as that scene was over, it's like, it's the sheriff. Clearly it's the sheriff. So that's The Prowler. It was an 80s movie, and they tried to be kind of creative with it. The feel of the movie did not necessarily equal up to like the gore of the kills,
right?
Which was kind of cool. It almost felt like this was almost like a made-for-TV kind of horror film. Like, the actors were okay enough. There wasn't a lot of bad language. There wasn't any nudity that I can remember. And then out of nowhere, it's like super gory.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's kind of
cool. like where they're making out on the gazebo, and then just this like pitchfork just like reaches over and stabs them, and just And
it's like it's like they made a movie that's like a 6.5, but they brought like a 9.5, like visual arts, like special effects guy. Like, so what'd you give The Prowler?
I gave it a C minus. Honestly, the first Prowler that I started watching, I kind of was liking more. And you marked it as watched, or I would have finished it.
Oh, you could still finish it.
I know. I think I'm going to.
Yeah, when I hopped onto Plex and I saw you were watching the old one, I was like, oh, she's watching the wrong one. I just marked it that way because I figured you didn't want to watch it. But yeah, go for it.
I was kind of enjoying it. Like they were, in the midst of like.
I've never seen it, so don't spoil it.
Okay, yeah, never mind.
So, but there wasn't a murderous sheriff involved.
Yeah, there.
At least
there was. I think there was a murder going on.
Was there?
Murder, yes, yeah. And there was a sheriff. So yeah.
So cool.
Could've.
I don't know. Maybe it's a remake, and I just didn't know it. Then Friday the 27th was a U movie.
Wait, what did you rate The Prowler?
I gave it a B minus.
Okay. Yes, it was a me movie, and it was Anything for Jackson. And this one was like, it started off, it just started.
Yeah.
Like, you've got this older couple, and they are, they live in a beautiful house. He's an OB doctor. They're listening to music. The door's open. Like, it's just... And then it's like, she's here, she's early.
And they're funny.
Yes.
Like,
and I'm
but the writing for them was funny.
Yes. I'm like, oh my goodness, like, who's here?
Yeah.
And then they just are bringing in this lady,
like
and they're dragging
her in the back door.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And it's like, this escalated very quickly because Grandma was just baking.
Well, and everything, like from the jump, it's like a camera, wide angle, like you see everything in the kitchen, you see back to the back of the house.
Yeah.
So like there's no moving camera. It's just everything's happening right in front of us. We don't have a clue what's going on.
And I really liked this because they had like this sixth sense almost, like they lost their daughter and their grandson Jackson. And so they are going to bring Jackson back to life through this lady's baby.
Yeah.
And they met her because she was a patient at this guy's office.
Yeah.
And so it just,
and didn't want her baby. Like she didn't know who the dad was.
Yeah. Like it was just a hookup type thing. And like,
their angle really was, we're not going to hurt you or the baby.
Right.
Like, we're helping you out. You're helping us out. This is going to be perfect. It's not perfect.
No, it's not, because Grandma can bring a crow back to life, but then she's doing the little seance type thing, and it just kind of, again, breaks loose.
Yeah. There's it really leans heavy on like Satanism, and we made a deal with the devil, and this is what we want. Like, Jackson's ghost will possess the baby, and when he's born, we'll raise our grandson again. Well, I think other spirits had other things in mind.
Yeah, because we have like big birds and other things.
And there's other just like. Yeah, and they just keep getting trapped in these loops, these ghosts, and it's just kind of, I like this movie. It was fun.
I did too.
So, but yeah, it ends up not going well for this doctor and his wife.
Yeah, I don't remember like what all happened. I know that like they killed the one guy who was out cleaning their yard.
Right, he killed himself.
Oh,
remember, he just put his head into the snowblower.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
Yeah, it's like anybody that came into the vicinity was being almost like being inhabited by these evil spirits, and made because the cop, when she showed up to investigate things, she did the same thing. It's like evil spirit, like they were dabbling with Satanism to get their grandson back and bit off more than they could chew.
Yes.
And then, they've got a guy in their Satan group that's, really into it.
Yeah.
And he was trouble from the start. He reminded me of, a less intimidating Malachi from Children of the Corn. Just a redhead kid that you're like, you are not comfortable to be around. And yeah, it was fun. I really liked this movie. I'm glad you brought. I'd never even heard of it before you brought it to the table. So, what'd you grade it?
I gave this one an A-.
I gave it a B plus. So I don't even know why I gave it a B plus. Probably because I'm just stingy with my A's, but I did. I really liked it.
Next up was from the shuffle, or no, it was a random pick from the movie poster that you had gotten, and it was Sisters.
Yes, Brian De Palma directed Sisters. Oh no, a sigh?
No, it was not bad at all.
This I will go with this. I know you haven't seen a lot of Alfred Hitchcock stuff.
Yeah.
But Brian De Palma was probably the closest to like Hitchcock 2.0.
Okay.
Like he really patterned his filmmaking style after Alfred Hitchcock. And so this movie was an early De Palma movie, 73, I believe, and it felt very Hitchcockian in that it wasn't really scary as much as the situations were realistically scary.
Yeah.
Like everything that happened in this movie could legitimately happen.
Yes.
And so we've got a movie where we meet at the very beginning. We meet our lead female and another male. They're like models / actors in a game show, and they kind of end up hitting it off, and they go out to dinner, and then they go back to her apartment, and they do stuff, and that's fine, yeah. Perfectly fine, because they're both single and whatever. It turns out that it's her birthday the next day. Wakes up, and the guy's not just like a hit it and quit it, he's like, hey, it's your birthday? Oh, and you got a twin sister? Well, and he goes and gets him a cake, comes back. Well, when he comes back, the twin sister is there.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's her. Well, she kills him. And as he's trying to struggle to live, the like Snoopy newspaper reporter across the road can see it all happening through her window. Well, the unfortunate thing is she's a Snoopy reporter, so the police don't really like her a whole lot because she like she calls a spade a spade. If she doesn't think the police are doing good work, she writes about it. So they're not overly cooperative with her. And so by the time she gets the police to come back to the apartment to check on the murder, the twin is gone, and Danielle is back, and she's cleaned everything up, and she and her husband, who kind of estranged / divorced, I don't really know that relationship. They get rid of the body, and it's really, the whole movie is pretty much just this reporter trying to find the truth. And so it's horror because there is, especially in 73, there's murder, there's hiding of the murder, there's conjoined twins, there's some mind control going on.
This is our second movie with conjoined twins.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of that going on, which this was definitely one more, if you were to say this was more of a drama or or even like a thriller.
Yep.
But yeah, it wasn't one that you were like gonna lose any sleep over. There weren't any real jump scares. There was some really, really creative camera work. Mm-hmm. Brian De Palma, his kind of go-to is having multiple panels, kind of what we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
But it's always really slick when you're like, where did you hide the camera?
Yeah.
Because there's a scene where you've got the camera with the police and the camera with Danielle, and then they meet up at the same door. Like, they're facing each other in the door, looking at each other head on, and you're like, where's the camera? Because I'm watching, well, in reality, they just filmed it twice.
Yes.
But they do it so well that you're, like, I find myself looking over the cop's shoulder, like, where's the camera at? Like, she's looking right in the camera, and I'm seeing, but it's well done camera work, and ends up being just really kind of bizarre. Like, it just kind of, I won't say spirals out of control, but it just gets really kind of bizarre. So, what are your thoughts on Sisters?
It was fine. Like, I liked the end where they made out the reporter to be the crazy one.
Yeah.
and like they're, I mean, drugging her up, keeping her in the mental hospital.
Right.
Like it was. I did like
they've
that.
they've convinced her that she's the evil twin.
Yeah. I gave Sisters a B.
I did too. It was a B. I gave it a B. I mean, it really is a great movie, but again, it's like you've seen it. Like, will you watch it again? I've seen it a couple of times, but probably not. But if someone's like, oh, I want to watch a movie that's kind of fun and not too scary, like this would be one. Like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You could watch it. And that covers the first 7. And so now we get to Halloween week. 29th, 30th, and 31st, which will round up our month. The 29th was a shuffle film. What did we land on for our shuffle film?
We have Fantasy Island.
Yeah, Fantasy
and it's a
Island.
fairly recent one as well.
Yeah, I think it's a couple years old.
With the amazing Lucy Hale.
Yep, she was in it.
Yep.
You're right.
I love her.
I know you do. We've had this talk.
But this wasn't her best movie. Like I'll admit that.
Okay,
yeah. Good. So it's, I mean, basically like all of these people head to this island where what they think is their fantasy.
Yeah, it's a horror film adaptation of the TV show.
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with the premise of the TV show, this is just that with a horror twist. But I'll shut up and let you go on.
You're fine. And so what we get is like, we find out, I mean, like the one girl, for example, her fantasy was to almost like torture the girl that bullied her. And so she gets to, but then it's like all of this stuff starts turning and it's real life. It's not just a fantasy. And they all circle back to this wreck that was had, and it killed someone. And so they were all tied to this guy somehow or another. And Lucy Hale, who is the antagonist of the movie, she has just kind of, I don't remember like how she like brought them there, whatever, but yeah, she was just...
Yeah, she was kind of the catalyst for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, everybody that was there didn't know how they were all intertwined.
Right.
Until we get to the reveal at the end.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I mean, it's fine. I've seen far worse movies. This wasn't a great movie by any means, but it was entertaining enough. Like,
it was more of like a action.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, I wasn't scared at any part of it.
No.
So, would you grade it?
I gave this one a C.
I did too. I felt pretty average.
Yeah.
You know, it would be comfortable to be like, let's just watch something that we don't have to pay a whole lot of attention to.
Yep.
This would be a good one to do the laundry, to fold the laundry to.
Yeah.
Then we get to your final pick of the month.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to my final pick of the month. What was your final pick of the month?
Yes, it was It Chapter 2. Okay, so it's definitely going to show our age here because you're like, oh man, like this one just has my heart because, you know, when I was a kid. This one has my heart because the original It, when I was a kid, scared the life out of me.
Now, when you say original It, like the TV version?
Yeah, like the one, when did it come out?
Or are you talking like It Chapter 1?
No.
Okay.
The Stephen King, like the original.
Yeah, the drama miniseries on TV that came out in 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was 11, so you weren't around yet, but...
Right. My parents had just gotten married that year, and I came 6 years later. So, but yes, I remember watching it, and it was just like, like, this is the scariest thing ever. And I still, like, when I hear about it, I can still envision the kids looking at the pictures and the blood coming from the pictures.
Yeah.
And, like, when Pennywise is at the cemetery, and he, like, looks down and then looks back up, and all of his teeth have, like, you know, they're the razor sharp.
Like fanged out.
Oh, yes. Scared me so much when I was a child.
Yeah, Tim Curry is one of my favorite actors. And he played Pennywise in the original one. I love Tim Curry. His health has gotten to him quite a bit. I think he's in a wheelchair and some health issues. But I mean, he's an old dude.
Yeah. This movie is 3 hours long.
Yep.
So if you're going to sit down and watch it, make sure you have the time. But I think it does have some pretty good actresses in it.
Solid cast.
I really like the girl that played Beverly. She's in a couple other movies that I've been a fan of. And then this basically is like the kids from It Chapter 1 getting almost like revenge and like getting back at it.
Well, it's 27 years later,
yes.
and this is the cycle of Pennywise.
Yes.
The cycle of this entity is that every 27 years, and so they fought and defeated him in the first one, and then made an oath that if he comes back, we will come back to Derry and take care of it again. Well, it's 27 years later, and he's back. The miniseries back in 1990 covered the same material. It was just spread up over 3 episodes. I think it was 3 or 6. But yeah, it was the same material of half the movie was the kids, and then half the movie was the adults of the grown-up versions of the kids. And how facing your fears is still a challenge no matter what age you are. And sometimes your adult fears are worse than your child fears.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it just really, I feel like that kind of, I mean, there's a lot of action packed into this movie as the first one before as well. I feel like there's not really a lot to say about it though, because it is my classic scary movie. Like, it's got the jump scares, it's got the gore. It's just
so long.
Yes,
like
it
when
is
you
very
look at
long.
it, and it's like they're taking the time to flesh out the characters, which I appreciate and understand. But like you said, like the plot of this movie is pretty thin.
Yeah.
Pennywise is back 27 years later. They have to go back and defeat him again. The end. And yet they figure out a way to take 2 hours and 49 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
So, grade?
I gave this one A-.
Incomplete for me. Like I told you pre-show, I've had a lot going on personal life that has interrupted my movie viewing time. I'm about halfway through it. I like what I've seen thus far, and I will finish it. But like I was telling you also, I great cast. I think they're doing a solid job. Way too much CGI for me.
Yeah.
And it's not even an attempt to be realistic CGI, which is okay. Like, I'm not saying that's a fault, but and it's not even bad CGI. It's just obvious CGI.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I'm not afraid. Like, when Beverly, near the first half of the movie, when she's at the home of the old lady.
Yeah. And
then the old lady kind of scurries by naked in the background. That was creepier to me than when she came out of the dark as this like 9-foot gangly naked CGI creation. I'm like, I'm not afraid of that. Like that.
Right.
Like that's not even. Had you just had that old actress come out of there, that would have been far creepier. In the first one, some of the creepy stuff for me was when they were in the library and the librarian's in the background.
Yeah.
And she just keeps staring at him and gets closer and closer. Like that to me is creepy. Right? But when
the first one had some really good jump scares too.
Yeah, but when Richie's trying to escape the like 13-foot Paul Bunyan statue, like that's just, I get how it is scary to the character, but like I'm not afraid of that.
No.
And so that's the kind of thing. It's like it's clearly CGI. It's in there. I think it's perfect to target to like 13, 14-year-olds. It will scare the bejesus out of those kids.
Yeah, it would.
But to old weathered horror films like us, horror viewers, I should say, not horror films. We're not horror films. It's just like, okay, like I get it. Like your story's fun, but like, I'm really not afraid of a clown with razor sharp teeth.
Right.
Like Tim Curry was way scarier.
He was.
Bill Skarsgård. Why? Because they didn't have to like it was all practical then. Like you actually had to make him up. You could tell it was a real human being.
Yeah.
it wasn't some CGI crawling out of a
Yeah.
refrigerator. So, yeah, incomplete for me, but I will give it a grade. So I do have it ranked. So, all right, then mine. Boy, this movie's bad, but it's so fun. Halloween
is.
night. We covered the appropriately titled Night of the Demons. I know you probably thought we were going to say Halloween, but we already covered that. Night of the Demons. 80s movie with just a fantastic opening title sequence of all of this like artwork, like this animated artwork. It's just, this movie is just such like a perfect Halloween night kind of horror film. It is dumb. It is fun. And a lot, kind of like we were talking before, kind of like Street Trash.
Yeah.
Everybody in here is a bad actor or actress, so because of that, nobody rises to the top. So you just kind of lower your expectations and you run with it.
Mm-hmm.
The weird girl at school, Angela, is throwing a Halloween party at Hull House, which is like the local haunted house or whatever it was, funeral home or whatever. And then just this ragtag bunch of people go to the Halloween party.
Yeah.
And then crazy stuff happens because Angela is into the demons, and a bunch of people die and get possessed, and you just got to survive the night. And if you can escape, then you live. And there's this kind of cute little wraparound story of the grumpy old man who hates Halloween and hates kids, and he's going to put razor blades in their apples. And then at the end of the movie, when you forgot about him, he sits down and has a plate of apple pie for breakfast that his wife made with all those leftover apples. And and his throat rips out, and he bleeds and dies all over the place, and his wife just pats him on the back. She's like, "Happy Halloween, dear." And you're like, "Oh, this movie. There's so weird stuff in this movie."
There is some weird stuff.
Mainly
like, I was
from one character, really.
The blonde one.
We get
What is her name?
Horror princess Linnea Quigley. She played Trash in the Return of the Living Dead movie, the one who got ate alive by the zombies, and after she did like the striptease dance. But we see like the first time we see her, it is like zoomed in close up of her underwear and butt as she's just wagging it back and forth. Later on, we see her find a very interesting place to put her lipstick.
Yeah.
It's like you see every private body part of her in this movie. Really, and you don't even need to.
No.
Fun little fact, that when she was getting her breasts molded by the special effects department, she met her future husband. She and the special effects guy that made her mold got married. And I don't know if they still are, but they were married for a while. So that's a fun little story. But yeah, the movie's just goofy. Like, it's just, the gore is fun, and it's just kind of a dumb movie, but it's just right in my wheelhouse. So, what did you think?
I gave this a B+. I liked it.
I gave it a B+ as well. Yeah, I really like this movie. I really, really like this movie. So, well, that wraps up the 10 movies. Now we got to go put them in a ranking, kind of almost like a rapid fire, and then we'll come up with our top 3 of the month, which I'm going to have to look at that real quick. Because
I know. I'm like, oh no.
I guess it's fair. I just look at my number ones and go from there. You would think. Maybe my 1s and 2s to see if anything jumps over. But, so what was your number 10 for this last chunk?
My number 10 was A Blade in the Dark.
It was also my number 10. Number 9?
The Prowler.
Okay, I went with Fantasy Island for my number 9.
Okay.
Although I do like looking at Maggie Q. Like, I'd be like...
She is.
She's just a very pretty lady.
Yeah.
And your number 8?
Sisters.
Okay, I went Demon Seed. Even though I liked it, it was a little goofy. Like, I just...
It was. Like, how does the technology impregnate a lady?
Yeah.
Like,
that part. And really, when they they thought they were stopping it, and then, like, all the stuff breaks off the boy.
Right. Yeah.
And then when he talks and he's got that techno voice, it's like, oh, okay. So that's my number 8. What's your number 7?
Fantasy Island.
I went It Chapter 2. Potential to climb higher as I finish it. So, 6?
Night of the Demons.
I went with Sisters. Oh, I was hoping Night of the Demons wouldn't fall that far down your list. That's okay.
You know what? It should be number 5 probably. Okay, let me take that back.
You don't
okay?
have to.
No, because I am. Demon Seed will be number 6.
Okay. Oh, I was surprised you had that as high as you had it.
Because I think it is scarier in real life.
It is.
Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, like, look at Snapchat with AI.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that. It pops up in people's combos if you mention it. So it's like it.
Yeah, I can definitely see the realistic fear of that movie, even though it's a little like extreme.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think AI is going to impregnate us.
Right.
But definitely seeing the whole, like, no, we're taking over. Yeah, that's more realistic than Night of the Demons ever would be.
Yeah.
All right, so 6 was Sisters for me and Demon Seed for you. What was your number 5?
That will be Night of the Demons.
Okay, I went Jeepers Creepers for my number 5.
Okay.
So, 4?
It Chapter 2.
I went The Prowler. You know me in 80s horror.
I know.
Can't do anything about it. So, 3?
Jeepers Creepers.
Anything for Jackson was my number 3. I really liked that movie.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought it was very well acted, very well done. Number 2?
Anything for Jackson.
I went Talk to Me as my number 2.
Okay.
Which kind of leaves an obvious number 1 for me. But what was your number 1?
It was Talk to Me.
And I had Night of the Demons. I love me some Angela. It's got like a 6.1 on IMDb, and the second one that I haven't seen is only like a 5.9.
Wow.
So, be worth a watch anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's our top 10 for the week. Top 3 for the month.
Yeah.
Top 3 for the month. Do you have yours yet, or you need a minute?
You know what? I think I can have it.
Okay. What was your number? Oh, get away from me, fly. What was your number 3?
My number 3 is going to be X.
Ooh, good one. Very good one. I'm going to go The Thing for my number 3.
Okay.
I love John Carpenter. Your number 2?
My number 2 is going to be Speak No Evil. The end of that still
bothers you?
Still bothers me.
Yeah. And as we covered, that was my number 7. That
yeah.
Too bleak for me.
Still bothers me.
My number 2, just, oh man, there's so many in here. My number 2, I have Night of the Demons.
Okay.
Gosh, I love this movie. Gosh, I love it. And your number 1 of the month?
I'm going to go with Sinister. I really liked how it was set up.
Yeah.
And just like, I like those like almost documentary type things. So, yeah, I went with Sinister.
I went with Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to go with the classic for me.
I feel like I knew you would do that.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I got a fly buzzing around now. It's probably some evil spirit.
It probably is.
Yeah, Night of the Demons. Friday the 13th, my number 1. There were a lot of tough ones I had to pull out, though. Like, Alien could have easily been in the top 3. Poltergeist in my top 3. There were a lot in there.
Yeah.
A lot of good
I
ones.
just couldn't think about it too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those that
right,
it's like,
just
all
your
right.
gut reaction. Same thing. If I would have sat too long, I could have convinced myself of a lot of them in there. But those 3 for me are easily the top 3 in whatever order we want to put them. But they're the ones I just love those kind of movies. We could breathe.
Yes. You know what, though? I actually watched, like, a horror movie last night just for fun.
What'd you watch?
Hereditary.
I saw that in the feed. Isn't it good?
It was good, yes.
Yeah. My wife doesn't like it when I click my tongue.
No. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it was. Ari Aster is the director of that movie. He also directed, there's Hereditary. He did Midsummer.
Okay.
And Beau is Afraid is a recent one. But yeah, Midsummer and Hereditary were his big two. Like, this guy's serious. You know, he's really good at what he does. And so he's done other things, but those are the big ones for him.
I like Toni Collette. However you say her name.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she does a good job.
So, all right. Well, that brings us to going back to normal. Like, this almost feels weird.
I know.
Okay, of course, we'll go back to our premise of, you know, shuffle, you, me, poster kind of thing.
Okay.
Shall we get back into the groove with a shuffle, or do you have one in mind you want to talk about?
Nope, let's do shuffle.
All right, I'm pulling up Plex right now so I can get the shuffle. Of course, I'm not logged in. Why would I be? We've only logged in all the time watching movies for an entire month. What was your least favorite movie of the month while we're killing them a minute here?
Man, you don't know? Audition.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but if we had to go with like just the English speaking movies, I would probably say Patrick.
Okay.
Patrick was just so boring.
Yeah, I'd still think I'd go Patrick over Possum.
Yeah. I'm going to go Patrick just because, but Possum was really bad as well.
Yes. Yeah, we did watch some clunkers.
Really bad.
Yeah, we watched some real clunkers. Possum, Patrick, yeah.
Cat People was kind of weird.
Cat People was weird. That was another one of those that like gore out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You didn't like Frontiers at all?
No.
Audition, of course, was a great movie, but down on both of our lists. So I just shuffled, and we're gonna go with a nice tight hour and a half movie.
Okay.
We are going to watch 2020's Underwater. I think Kristen Stewart is in that movie.
Yes.
Underwater is 2020. Yep, Kristen Stewart. I wonder if there's like a giant monster in this movie. I'm sure there is. There's always giant monsters underwater. So, Vincent Castle's in it. I like Vincent Castle. T.J. Miller. Okay. Oh, I saw the word giant creature. All right, there we go.
There you go.
So we're going to watch 2020's Underwater. I wonder how that's going to affect your little fear of claustrophobic spaces.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some
You know, that did kind of get me in. There was one of the movies when they were crawling through it, chapter 2.
Oh.
You know, they're crawling in those little caves, and I'm just like,
Yeah, too tight.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're going to watch Underwater and just go back to having some free time.
Yes.
Did you find it a struggle at any point?
No, there were some days where I did not watch a movie,
right,
or I just watched 20 minutes of it, but I never felt like, oh my gosh, I have to get these done.
That's good.
So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's good that you got that done.
Yes.
I watched just because of course I can't just do the bare minimum. That's not how I roll. For the month of October, 38. Which is,
all right.
This is actually my low of all time. The first month I started keeping track, I watched 40. And then in 2019, I watched 49. 2020, 50. 2021, 52. Last year, 42. And this year, just 38.
And I did, so there's 31 there. I did 33 and a half.
Okay. Yeah. Had a lot going on in October, so hopefully my November slows down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we will be back next week with Underwater, the Kristen Stewart. I'm sure she's a sailor or pirate or something. She falls off the deck, off the poop deck, probably. But I doubt it. There's a giant creature involved, I hear. So, social media-wise, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Of course, where you could find us. We'd love it if you like and subscribe, comment. We're open ears if anybody wants to see anything covered. We would love to get your feedback. So, it's going to be nice to slow down to just one movie a week.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, it'll be nice. So, all right. Well, for another week of education, I'm Mike.
And I'm Courtney.
And we'll see you guys next week when we talk about Underwater.
Bye.